Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to learn the concept of covalent bond. So, let us start with covalent bond. Before we start with the concept of covalent bond, what we are supposed to know is the structure of an atom. So right now on your screen, what you can see is a structure of an atom where we say that an atom consists of protons, neutrons and electrons. Fine. So when we talk about the protons are said as positively charged, while the electrons are said as negatively charged, and the neutrons are neutral. So for any atom, the total number of protons is always equal to the total number of electrons. And as you can see on the screen, these electrons revolve around the nucleus in any circular or elliptical shape. Moving forward, we will see how exactly this atomic structure looks like. Now, as we said, in an atom, the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. Right now, this is an atomic structure of silicon. If I wanted to draw the atomic structure of silicon, then what we are supposed to know its atomic number. Now the atomic number of silicon is 14. Hence we can say the number of protons and the number of electrons for silicon atom is 14. Now how exactly these electrons are arranged? Fine. So when we talk about the orbits, the number of electrons in an orbit is always fixed. Let's say the first orbit consists of 2 electrons, the next orbit consists of 8 electrons, and so on. Now how to calculate this? So whenever we talk about an atom, let's take an example. We are talking about a silicon atom. This silicon atom is consist of 14 protons. Okay, so when we talk about the 14 protons, now we need to show the electrons in circular fashion. Okay, now what is the formula for this? The formula for calculating the number of electrons in an orbit is 2n square. Now what is n? N is nothing but the number of the orbit. Okay, so n is nothing but the number of orbit. Fine. So when we talk about the number of orbit, for example, let us take this as a orbit. This is orbit number 1. So when I put orbit number 1 in formula, I'll get the answer as a 2. So I can say maximum 2 electrons can be accommodated in an orbit. That is the first orbit. Now next, I'll be having a second orbit. Okay, I'll put it in a formula again. The number of the orbit is 2. So 2 square is 4 and 4 to the 8. Okay, now I can have 8 electrons in this second orbit. So this is how you can show the electrons. So if you calculate right now, 1, 2 plus 8, 10 electrons we have already shown. Now moving forward, we still left with the 4 electrons because we have a 14 electrons. So I'll go with the third orbit. I'll put it in a formula. Okay, it will be the third orbit. 3 square is 9, 9 to the 18. I can accommodate total 18 electrons, but I have left with only 4. So whatever electrons are left, that I will accommodate, and I will consider this as a simple atomic structure of a silicon. Okay, so whenever we talk about the atomic structure indicates the total number of protons as well as the total number of electrons. Fine. Now moving forward, when we talk about the silicon consists of four valence electrons. Okay, so on your screen you can see the outermost orbit consists of four electrons, and electrons in outermost shell are called as the valence electrons. So whenever I have whatever number of electrons in the outermost shell, they will be treated as a valence electron. So similarly, what happens with this? Now let's take an example of germanium also. Okay. Now why silicon and germanium? These two examples are given because these two elements act as a semiconductor, and for this course the knowledge of semiconductor is must. So right now in front of the screen I can see the silicon and germanium atomic configuration. So in this orbital structure, basically when we compare the orbital structure of silicon and germanium, what is the similarity that I can get is the total number of valence electrons in case of silicon is equal to the total number of valence electrons in a germanium. Fine. So with respect to silicon and germanium, the similarity is there is what I have a valence electrons of equal number. Now whenever we talk about the valence electrons, when the valence electrons are less than 8, then your atom start with recombination. So what is this recombination? Either it will start accepting the electrons or it will start donating the electrons. Okay, so this is something called as a recombination. So in case of this silicon and germanium, they are not a complete element. So that's why whenever we have a few silicon and germanium atoms combined together, they will start with the process of recombination. Now what exactly this recombination is, we'll see that. So when we talk about the silicon, okay, so let's take a example of a single silicon atom. Suppose I have a silicon atom with me. This silicon atom consists of four valence electrons. Now if I have a neighboring silicon atom, again this silicon atom will have four valence electron. So likewise I can show n number of silicon atoms adjacent to each other, and this silicon atom with the four valence electrons. Okay, so now right now in front of the screen we can see that the silicon atoms are there and these are not at all bonded with each other. Now what happens whenever the silicon atom starts interacting with each other? What is this interaction? Basically the electrons either will start accepting or donating because they wanted to become a complete element. So what happen is the electrons will be shared with the neighboring atoms. Okay, so the silicon will start accepting and donating of electrons, and right now I can see this silicon atom is having 1 2 3 4, along with that 5 6 7 8. So total atoms right now is 8, and I can consider it as a complete element, means there will not be any valence electrons. So likewise the other silicon atoms will also have a recombination process, and because of this recombination process there will be a covalent bond formed between the silicon atoms. Okay, so right now the bond which you can see over here, this bond is considered as covalent bond. So what happens when there is a covalent bond? Whenever there is a covalent bond, I can consider there is no free electrons available. And if there is no free electrons available, definitely there is no movement of carriers. Okay. So what is this free electrons? What is this movement? That we will see in our next lecture. Thank you.